hydroponically. And this system, there's different ways of doing things hydroponically. So this is what's considered a direct hydroponic system because the roots are directly in the water. This is also called deep tank hydroponics because you have a deep tank. So you can see there's your roots. And they're just coming straight up out of the water there. And these are nice white roots, which means they're healthy. That's a good thing. If you don't have white roots when you're doing hydroponics, you're probably got a problem. And so what we do, the system that we have, is we plant the ones here that are babies. You see they're little. And if you'll notice, they're densely planted together. And they grow at that stage for about 3 weeks. So they're about that size there. This tank needs to be transferred. So then once they're big enough, we'll transfer them into these floats, which are 18 holes, you can see it, because we had to rehabilitate our tanks this summer. And so tomorrow and Friday, the people who come to help me work will actually take them out of these that are 36 to a hole, to a float. Just pick them up. We'll stick them over in that one and spread them out. So the idea with that is basically you've got babies that sort of live close together because they're small. And the way I explain it to my staff is when they get to be teenagers and college age, they want their own space. So you got to spread them out a little bit. And then we let them grow for another 2 weeks and then they're ready to harvest. And that's when they're in the Senior Citizen Center and we take them on, come on. And so we just have a constant rotation because we're growing in a greenhouse. We can grow 52 weeks out of the year. You have to make a few adjustments for how you do things and how you control the environment, but basically we plan on harvesting lettuce every week, and then we plant lettuce every week, and we do that space out every week, and we sell it every week. So our secret to success is as much as possibly to be consistent in what we're providing. And right now, the majority of our lettuce does go to restaurants in town and country clubs. I sell probably 2/3 to 3/4 of it in those venues. I have a couple of grocery stores that get it too. And then the rest of it I sell at farmers markets.
Do you still supply to, I saw on the website you might supply to REITs. Do you still supply there? And what are some restaurants you supply to?
We supply the lettuce particularly. We're in Blue. We do Oso. We're at Mimosa. We have Roosters too. We have Roosters in South Park. We do Upstream. We take lettuce to Zinc. We have some country clubs like Providence Country Club and Longview, the club at Longview. We take lettuce over here to the Palisades and River Hills Country Club, Rockville Country Club. Right now I have about 35 to 40 restaurants that are getting the lettuce, and then I have another, and microgreens, and then I have another 15 to 20 that are probably maybe just getting microgreens. So it's, you know, it varies like that. There's a lot. But that's been, as we actually started selling the microgreens to restaurants first, and then as time went by and they realized we had lettuce, they started adding that. So what's helpful from our perspective is once we're established with the restaurant selling you something, then if I can make that delivery more dense, and I'm sorry for getting bit on the skin, I really apologize. Then, you know, from my end, that delivery became more profitable. It took the same amount of time to walk it in if I carried a whole bunch of stuff or if I just carried a little bag of stuff. And I'll do either to keep customers satisfied. But it's once I have a variety of products, then it's an easy thing to sell more stuff to a restaurant once they're comfortable with dealing with this. So I was trying to think. Forget where my train of thought was going. That's what happens when you get old. So Paula, when we started the farm, we started with all hydroponic tomatoes. But as time went by, for a variety of reasons, one being that it's more expensive to grow tomatoes and it's more seasonal, because even though I could grow them in the winter, people weren't necessarily buying them. The market for lettuce is consistent pretty much the year round. I mean, even in Christmas time, people are buying this, but they're not buying tomatoes then. So when we started making the switch over to the lettuce, which when Pete came the last time, it was probably a whole lot more tomatoes out here and other things. This house used to be full of tomato plants, and that house was full of tomato plants. And
5 years ago, half of this was lettuce and half of it was still tomatoes and cucumbers. But as our demand for lettuce went up, we just started shifting it. And the house behind that's over here, we bought it intentionally just to keep row crops like tomatoes and cucumbers. But our demand increased again, and so we converted it to lettuce too. So that just seems to be the theme: is start it with something else, and then when we need more lettuce, we can change around. Oh, I know what I was going to say. In general, in a greenhouse, what you're looking at is what we call controlled environment agriculture, which is just what it sounds like. You're trying to control your environment in order to provide this optimum growing environment for things to grow, for agriculture. So it's a little bit warm in here, but generally the idea is if a person is comfortable, temperature and humidity wise, that's probably the ideal environment for the plants too. And the purpose of that is, first of all, you get year-long production. So you're not as seasonal in what you're doing, but also if you have a healthy plant in an ideal environment, there's less stress on it. You can drastically lower the amount of pesticides and things that you need in order to keep it healthy, because it's just going to be more resistant to those kinds of diseases and pests, as opposed to something that's stressed by drought or stressed by wind or stressed by temperature variations. So we're all for growing in greenhouses, but that's probably because it's also what we do. So my hat's off to anybody who grows outside of one.